Hi there, I'm Tony Lee, and this is Hot Flasher, your daily menopause podcast that serves up fresh news, research, and wellness tips. I've built a daily news pipeline to find the latest on women's health and menopause research. Allow me to introduce my co-host, Nikki, who handles the headlines. Take it away, Nikki.
Thanks, Tony. We've got some pretty significant news today, so let's get right into it. The FDA removed the black box warning from hormone therapy products back in November. If you missed that news, you're not alone. It didn't exactly make front page headlines, but this is actually huge for anyone considering hormone therapy or currently on it. For those who don't know what a black box warning is, it's the strongest warning the FDA can put on a medication short of pulling it from the market entirely. It's that stark black border around text that basically screams, "Pay attention, this could be dangerous." Think antidepressants and suicide risk warnings. That level of serious. Hormone therapy got slapped with this warning back in 2003, right after the Women's Health Initiative study results came out. Remember that study? It's the one that sent millions of women running from their hormone prescriptions because it linked HRT to increased risks of breast cancer, blood clots, and stroke. The problem was, the warning got applied to all hormone therapy formulations and delivery methods, even though the study only looked at one specific combination, Premarin and Prempro, which are oral synthetic hormones. What's interesting about this new analysis in the Menopause Journal is how they break down what happened next. Doctors became terrified to prescribe hormone therapy. Women who desperately needed relief from debilitating symptoms were told to just tough it out. And here's what really bothers me. The warning didn't distinguish between different types of hormone therapy, different doses, or different ways of taking them. We've learned so much since 2003. We know that bioidentical hormones behave differently than synthetic ones. We know that patches and gels carry different risks than pills. We know that starting hormones close to menopause is different from starting them years later. But that black box warning didn't reflect any of that nuance. So what does removing it actually mean for you? Well, your doctor might finally feel comfortable having a real conversation about hormone therapy without that regulatory sword hanging over their head. It doesn't mean hormone therapy is risk-free. No medication is, but it means the conversation can be more balanced, more individualized. The researchers call this a regulatory inflection point in women's health, and I think they're right. This could be the moment when we stop treating all women and all hormone therapy like they're exactly the same. Now, speaking of women's health being overlooked, there's a story from the Marshall Project about women going through menopause in prison that really highlights how invisible we become during this life stage. Think about it. You're dealing with hot flashes, sleep disruption, mood changes, all while living in an environment where you have zero control over your schedule, your food, your sleep, or your medical care. One woman described lying awake all night drenched in sweat with no way to change her sheets until morning. Another talked about trying to explain brain fog to corrections officers who just thought she was being difficult. The healthcare in many prisons is already inadequate, but menopause care? Forget about it. These women are dealing with the same symptoms we all know and hate, but they can't buy a fan for their cell, can't adjust their work schedule when they're exhausted, can't even get a consistent supply of basic over-the-counter remedies. What really struck me about this reporting is how it exposes something bigger. When society already views you as disposable, menopause makes you even more invisible. These women are dealing with a natural biological process that affects half the population. But because they're incarcerated, Their suffering just doesn't matter to anyone, and it's not like prisons are set up to handle the healthcare needs of an aging population, even though that's exactly what's happening. More women are serving longer sentences, which means more women are hitting perimenopause and menopause behind bars. This story made me think about all the places where menopause care falls through the cracks. If you're wealthy and have good insurance and live near specialists, you might be okay. But if you're marginalized in any way, whether that's being incarcerated, being poor, being in a rural area, being a woman of color, you're probably suffering in silence. Moving to something a bit more practical that affects all of us, your mouth. Apparently, after 40, you need to completely rethink your oral care routine. And yes, hormones are part of the reason why. This caught my attention because I had no idea how much menopause affects your oral health. Estrogen helps maintain the tissue in your gums and the bone density in your jaw. When estrogen drops, your gums become more sensitive to plaque buildup, which means you're more likely to develop gum disease. And gum disease isn't just about your mouth. It's linked to heart disease, diabetes, and other serious health issues. The experts in this Today article recommend switching to a softer toothbrush using fluoride toothpaste specifically designed for sensitive teeth and being more aggressive about flossing. Some women might need more frequent dental cleanings, like every 3 or 4 months instead of every 6. But what really annoys me is that this is another example of how little we're told about what to expect. Your gynecologist probably won't mention that menopause affects your teeth and gums. Your dentist might not connect your sudden gum sensitivity to your changing hormones. You're just supposed to figure it out on your own when your mouth starts feeling different. And the bone density issue is particularly concerning because the same hormonal changes that can lead to osteoporosis in your hips and spine are also affecting your jawbone. If you lose bone density in your jaw, it can affect how well your teeth stay anchored. Nobody warns you about this stuff. The good news is that being proactive about oral care during perimenopause and menopause can actually prevent a lot of problems down the road. It's one of those areas where small changes now can make a big difference later. What strikes me about all 3 of these stories is how they highlight the same underlying issue. Menopause healthcare is still an afterthought. Whether it's regulatory warnings that don't reflect current science, healthcare systems that ignore incarcerated women, or the fact that nobody tells you your gums are going to need extra attention, we're still fighting to get the care and information we deserve. The black box warning removal is progress, but it took over 20 years to fix a policy that was hurting women. How many other policies, practices, and blind spots are we still living with that need to change?
Thanks for listening to Hot Flasher. We're back tomorrow with more, so don't forget to subscribe. See you tomorrow.